On the quiet outskirts of the city, David lived on a razor's edge. As a day laborer, his family's survival was tied entirely to his physical output. If he found work, he, his wife Maria, and their 10-year-old daughter Emma ate dinner. If he didn't, they slept through the hunger. For months, the pressure had been mounting, and then the tightrope snapped. David walked through his front door, carrying not a day's wages, but a single piece of paper. His job was gone. In an instant, the family was pushed off a financial cliff. The normal sounds of their evening routine evaporated. Maria read the letter, setting it down in heavy silence. The immediate reality of their situation flooded the small room, replacing their fragile comfort with deep, paralyzing fear. The physical toll arrived almost instantly. With only scraps left in the kitchen, 10-year-old Emma looked at her mother, sliding her nearly empty plate across the table. She claimed she wasn't hungry, telling a lie to ensure her mother had something to eat. Later that night, as the house finally slept, David sat alone in the corner of his room. The pride of being a provider had been stripped away. He had run the numbers, and the math was absolute. He was utterly powerless to save the people he loved. Staring up at a small wooden cross on his wall, he finally reached a point of total surrender. He didn't ask for a sudden windfall or a bag of cash. He simply asked for a path forward, now that every earthly option he could see had vanished. At this moment, David had reached the end of his own strength. He was standing in the quiet void that remains when every human effort has been exhausted, waiting for an intervention he couldn't yet imagine. The next morning, David was out the door before sunrise. He emptied his pockets, using his final few coins on bus fare to scour the city for any available wage. He walked from construction sites to industrial warehouses. At every single stop, he hit the same wall. The answer was always the same: we don't need anyone today. By evening, the physical and emotional exhaustion completely overtook him. Unable to take another step toward another rejection, he simply sat down on the dusty curb, defeated as the sun began to set. But right at that point of collapse, David made a subtle pivot. Instead of beginning the long walk home, he looked up and noticed a small, nearly empty church. The doors were open, and he found himself drawn inside. In moments like these, progress often looks like simply continuing to walk through the exhaustion, eventually reaching an intersection that was never on the original map. The church was perfectly quiet. David walked down the aisle and sank to his knees in front of a single lit candle, too tired to even form a prayer. The silence was broken by an elderly caretaker sweeping the floors. He noticed David's distress and offered to listen. David told him everything: the job, the hunger, and the feeling of having no moves left. The old man listened patiently, then suggested that what looked like a dead end might actually be a redirection toward a door David hadn't noticed yet. The caretaker reached into his pocket and handed him a torn scrap of paper with an address scribbled on it. He didn't promise anything specific. He just told David to go there at dawn. David followed the instructions. The next morning, he stood in front of a large warehouse. Tacked to the front entrance was a sign: workers needed. Inside, the manager put him to work on a machine. David demonstrated his years of experience, and the manager hired him on the spot. Within 24 hours of his breaking point, his family's survival was secured. This moment was a meeting of two forces. The address provided the opportunity, but David's readiness provided the result. The path was opened for him, but he still had to do the walking. Months passed. David's wages increased, and his family found their footing. One afternoon, he returned to that small church. He wanted to find the elderly caretaker and finally thank him for the note. But when he described the man to the current church staff, they didn't recognize him. They checked their records, but no one matching that description was on the payroll or the volunteer list. Still convinced he had the right place, David asked to look through the church's historical photo albums, searching for the face of the man who had helped him. Suddenly, he found him, the exact same face he had spoken to months ago. But as David pointed to the photo, the staff quieted. They told him that this specific caretaker had passed away 2 years ago. David reached into his pocket and pulled out the original scrap of paper. He turned it over and saw a short message on the back he hadn't noticed before: "Never stop believing." We often expect miracles to arrive with theatrical flair, lightning bolts, or sudden fortunes, but the events that changed David's life were far more subtle. They arrived in the form of ordinary interactions: a stranger's observation, an unlocked door, and a small scrap of paper. These were simple things that happened at exactly the right time. These moments provided David with the specific measure of hope he needed to keep moving when he was on the verge of giving up. Looking at that paper, David realized that even when he felt he had run out of options, a way had already been prepared for him. He had finally seen the door he didn't know was there.